Trauma dumping. I'm sure you've heard this term everywhere. It's kind of become the new catch-all phrase for what we used to just call oversharing. But is that what's really going on?
See, this is the real question, isn't it? When somebody shares something really heavy with you, are you seeing someone being truly vulnerable, or is a boundary getting crossed? It's a super fine line, and today, we're going to figure out where it is.
So, let's dive into Section 1, the new oversharing. This term didn't just pop up out of thin air. It actually started in a clinical setting, but man, it just exploded into our everyday conversations.
You've probably been there, right? Someone you barely know, or maybe even a total stranger, just unloads something incredibly personal on you, completely out of the blue. And what's the first label that comes to mind? Trauma dumping.
Or how about this one? You get that giant wall of text on your phone from a friend who's going through it. Yep, that gets called trauma dumping too.
And it happens online all the time, right? A stranger shares a really difficult story in a public forum. That interaction often gets hit with the exact same label.
Look, if you found yourself using this phrase, it totally makes sense. The term was literally everywhere, and it felt like it perfectly captured that feeling of being on the receiving end of a heavy story you weren't ready for.
Okay, Section 2, from clinic to culture. To really get a handle on this, we've got to trace the term's journey and see how its meaning got so transformed.
Okay, now this is really interesting. The original clinical definition is super specific. It's not just about sharing something heavy. It's the act of unloading without consent, without any context, and, this is the big one, without reciprocity. That means it's a one-way street that just leaves the other person feeling totally overwhelmed.
And this slide just nails it. This is what I call the great drift. The term went from its very precise clinical meaning, that non-consensual one-sided thing, to a much, much broader social use that basically means any sharing that makes me feel uncomfortable.
So why did it shift so much? Well, because we needed the words for it. Let's be honest, accusing someone of trauma dumping sounded way more legit, more psychologically smart, than just saying, hey, I don't want to hear this. It kind of became a shortcut for setting a boundary.
Which brings us to Section 3, why precision matters. Because there's a real cost when a definition gets this blurry. When the lines get this fuzzy, we start running into some pretty serious issues.
This right here is why being precise is our best friend. Just look at this breakdown. Venting, that's mutual. It happens with someone you trust. A boundary issue, that's when someone shares without checking if you actually have the space to listen, and then there's actual dumping. That's a pattern. It's repeated, one-sided unloading with zero give and take. See how different those are?
Because here's the thing, when we call every heavy conversation a dump, we risk shaming people for just trying to be vulnerable. It actually stops us from setting real, clear boundaries, because we're just slapping a label on it instead of dealing with what's really going on. The bottom line is, not every tough conversation is a burden. Sometimes people just need to be heard.
So what do? That brings us to Section 4, the stitching shift. This is all about moving away from applying that quick, easy label and toward the much more skillful work of setting clear, healthy limits. The first step is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Before your brain just jumps to that label, just pause and ask yourself with some real curiosity, what is actually happening in this moment? Is it mutual? Is it one-sided? Did they even check in with me first?
And if you realize they didn't, this phrase right here, this is your key. I don't have capacity for this right now. It's not an attack. It's not a judgment. It's just a simple, honest statement about your own limits. It's so clear, and it's also really kind.
And that is the absolute heart of it all. You have every single right to protect your own energy and set your limits. But you can do that without making someone feel like their pain is the problem. You can honor your own needs and their humanity all at the same time.
All right, Section 5, your checkpoint. To make this all feel real, let's turn this idea into a really simple practice for the week ahead. A way to start building that muscle for clarity. It's just 3 steps. First, just notice. Catch yourself the moment that phrase, trauma dumping, pops into your head. Second, rewrite it in your mind. Ask yourself, what was that really? Was it just mutual sharing? Was it a boundary issue? Or was it part of that ongoing one-sided pattern? And third, just observe. Watch what happens. See how being this precise actually helps you set a limit so much more clearly and kindly without needing to shame anyone. Because in the end, being precise does something kind of beautiful.
It takes what feels like this heavy, messy burden and it stitches it back into what it was all along, a clear human story. So the next time you feel that weight, ask yourself, am I seeing a burden, or am I just being asked to see a story that I don't have the capacity to hold right now? The answer just might change everything.